which I sometimes forget. And then we'll say, greetings, everybody, and welcome to Chess Dojo's coverage of the Sunday Viewer Rapid Arenas. Today, we are lucky, very lucky, and excited to have a co-host for this show, which I frequently do alone, honestly. Renga is here. Welcome,
Hi, everybody.
Renga.
Thanks, David. Hi, Charlie. Hi, B Concord. Skibix. How are you guys all doing? I'm excited to do this with you, David. Look at all these games, shoot the breeze, talk about chess,
Mm-hmm.
wearing a hot dog suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. David, you ever see that? You ever seen me wear this hot dog suit? It's pretty funny.
I've not seen you wear it. I've seen it as your icon
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on Twitch, but no, I have not seen the
Yeah.
actual thing.
I used to have an emote, but it got banned for being offensive
Uh-oh.
because it was a hot dog. I don't know.
Okay.
But then I bought then I bought like a hot dog costume.
So the vegan mob runs Twitch.
Yeah, that must have been it. I think it was a vegan person that reported me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh well,
such is life.
such is life. You
Let's
know,
see.
when you're
Am I
not
able
sure.
to?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say when you're not sure what you should or shouldn't laugh at, it's very uncomfortable for some people. So then they just want to shut everything down.
I see. Let's see if I'm able to open up all of the arenas at the same time.
Whoa. I've never
That
been
would
able
be
to do that, but if you figure it out, tell me about it.
okay. No, it's not. It's not happy with me.
I would love to know how to use chess.com's new live play server.
There's a person in one of the tournaments that I recognize as knowing in real life, which is exciting.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is very exciting. For anybody on YouTube looking to join these tournaments, here's a link to our club. And from the club page of Chess Dojo, if you just scroll down a little bit, pretty easy to find these arenas right below here and click on the right link based on your chess.com rapid rating. So if you're rated 0 to 1300, you can join this one. If you're rated 1300 to 1700, you can join this one. If you're rated 1700 and up, you can join this one. So yes, if your rating is exactly 1300 or 1700, you can choose between two different tournaments. 15 plus 5 should maybe be labeled as classic. Uh, as a well, it is rapid. So what would be the reason to label it as classic instead of rapid? Just curious. Like 3 plus 0 should be called classical, and 90 plus 30 should be called mama chess. What's the logic?
It's not that long ago that 10 plus 0 on chess.com was classified as blitz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You had to play like something with a significant increment for it to be considered rapid
Yeah.
back in the day. Okay.
Okay, so we got people in the 1700 plus group already, and I was going to check if how the other groups are looking. So let me see. Copy the link
Under
for the
1300 is a little shy.
13, 1700.
Need a few more under 13s.
Oh,
13 to 17 is missing Charlie Silva. It's kind of confusing. I don't see him there.
right. You keep scanning up and down for his name.
B
All right.
Concord is like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
What
Time
is
runs
coffee?
faster. All right, we've got enough players in the under 1300 group, so that's good. That group is set to start in 4 minutes.
13 to 17 though, unless I'm missing something.
Right. We're missing all of the somethings. Nobody there, huh? That's weird. It's happened once before that we had a ton of people under 1,300 and over 1,700 and nobody in the entire middle, which for years and years had the most people. So
Yeah, that was like the most populated
yeah,
one.
yeah,
But now everybody's a master, I guess. So
or something.
like last week was really crazy in terms of how many like 2,200
I know.
plus players.
Yeah, unprecedented, crazy.
Sheer madness.
Yeah. All right, folks, we got 3 minutes to get this 13 to 1,700 group going. So let's get in there, somebody. Let's get in there. Let's make it a tournament. 13 to 1,700. Rapid Chess on chess.com. Here's a direct link with no frills in each chat room. We're going to comment games with the person you know in real life, right?
If you want. I've only met them a couple times. I think they're from out here, but then go to college elsewhere.
Okay.
And I've met them like at an unrated tournament, at the local like Blitz place on Wednesday. And I just recognize them. And it's kind of funny. Like I've never really played with the guy, but we've talked chess before.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
He's a college kid, I think.
That's great. Is there anything better
cool.
than being a college kid?
I don't know. Being right out of college. It's pretty good too.
Pretty good too.
One sec.
Looks like Rango's got a nice chessboard up behind his chair. That's clever. Hi, G. Good to see you. How are you doing today?
So I recently bought this. One of maybe our mutual friends, Mr. Chess Coach Andres. I bought some merch from him. So it's like it says Boomski.
Boomski. Beautiful.
It's just something he says on stream.
Yeah. Explosion with pieces flying. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's pretty good. Pretty good mug. Great. It's good, but it's not quite as good as this one.
Oh, God.
I know you hate this stuff, right?
One day you'll be a mug collector or something.
This is like vintage chess dojo. Like this is banned merch. Like you can't even buy this anymore, I don't think.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the vegans got upset about that one too.
I like that one. It's good.
Okay. One game is good, Alvin. So folks, Alvin's saying it's midnight in the Philippines, and so Alvin's just gonna have time to play one game and then leave. And I just want to use that to mention to folks, these kind of arenas, it's play however many games you want. Like you could play one game, you could play nonstop for 3 hours, you could play one game, take a break for an hour, walk your dog, walk your cat, come back and play one other game. You know, it's like totally modulable in that sense. You don't have to play a certain number of rounds, very flexible. So yeah, feel very comfortable to just play however much or little you want and to hang out and chat as much as you want, except when you're playing.
$20 seconds for people to join the 13 to 17.
All right. And for everyone else, your games are going to be starting in about 15 seconds, so make sure that you are at your computer or your terminal or your live chess or whatever. Sometimes chess.com thinks that because you're in another tab that you've left or something like that, then they don't pair you or they forfeit you or something. Or you think 10 seconds on your first move and they kick you out. So
looks like that one got aborted. So
I know.
Where should we start, David?
It makes me so sad every single time. I'm going to start, as I often do, with the lowest rated game that I can find.
Heck yeah.
So it's going to be Generation Titles against JWMCC 2006. Perhaps
Oh,
also a
we got
college dude.
this is good.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a banger.
Yeah. White takes a first view at the F7 square.
We're gonna see some knight g5, the classic.
Some fry up some liver in the morning. I don't like to eat
Ooh.
liver at any time of day, but in the morning it sounds particularly brutal.
Yeah. So they're gonna go for something more safe and secure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, D3, safeguarding the E4 pawn, holding in that aggressive desire to play knight to G5.
Ooh, would you have played c3 to attack that bishop instead?
Height. Definitely. It's like a sort of a tempo. In general, if black had played bishop E7 or bishop C5, I think it's not clear whether C3 or knight C3 is better.
Right.
Like, there's two different approaches to playing this position, and I don't play enough Italian games to know which one's better. And I see both played by GMs enough that I'm not sure that one is objectively better.
They probably have specific merits that.
Yeah. But once black plays bishop b4 check, you could play c3, and I imagine you're a full tempo up on whatever the normal c3 lines are, right? Because black makes an extra bishop move, and that's got to be great for white to get that free tempo. I don't know if there's any really greedy tempo fiends out there in chat today.
Look at Charlie in the chat. He's trying to use the framework that you gave to the Maya people.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that's nice.
That's nice. Yeah, he really got that one exactly. One is saying pawns in the center is important. Others saying they prefer development. Heck yeah.
Both players doing a reasonable job here of developing pieces.
Yep. Supposedly, if you watch a lot of games by players rated 400, 500, 600, you'll sometimes see games where someone moves their queen around in circles without bringing anything else out, or somebody like pushes 10 pawns. I kind of used to play like that when I was lower rated, but these players are just bringing out all the pieces. So,
to be fair, like, you don't really see that stuff among the dojo players.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the low rated dojo players still have like more of a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing like all these minor pieces be developed, which is like amazing. Such a good start.
Yeah. And MG Weirdo points out another nice thing. Both players actually have less than 15 minutes, right? So they're thinking about their moves. 13 minutes against 14 and a half minutes. 7 moves in. It's perfect. I mean,
Queen D2.
You don't want to spend 5 to 10 minutes, ideally, putting your knights on F3 and C3, right? Like, if you could do that reasonably quickly, it's good. But if you think a minute or two here and there about your choices, that's great.
I thought white was just going to castle short instead of play queen d2.
Mm-hmm.
But, this is all very, very nice and logical, and kind of into this, David.
Yeah. Yeah, both players look like they might castle queenside or they might castle kingside. It's kind of like the big debate or question. And they might also, although this would be very high level, they might be waiting to see which direction the other person castles.
Right. Those pawns are kind of a glaring thing.
Yeah.
However, they cover some good squares.
Yep. Oh, and there we have it, opposite side castling. Woo!
All right. Now, is the game going to be decided on tactics, right? Like, is somebody going to knight takes e4 and in some capacity and win a queen or something? Win a rook?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some kind of tactic on a file. Black is really thrown down by going for opposite side castling. And that makes me think that black knows the concept of sort of pawn storming the opponent when you're in opposite sides. Which again, we're constantly surprised nowadays, folks, at how many things about chess players rated 200, 400, 600 know. like the advanced strategies that they employ, or like they're like, oh yes, I know that in the Queen's Indian I use this plan, and you're like, in my day, no 400 knew what the Queen's Indian was. No 400 played 1d4. They all just played the Italian, period. That was it. and many of them didn't know what the word plan meant. And now, like, know specific plans and specific, finesse openings. I've got a feeling that Black knows about the opposite side castling, pawn, storm, attacking plan kind of thing. It feels like they were looking to get opposite side castled positions in.
Okay, here we go.
That tells me we'll probably get an attack. When you're wondering if it'll be decided by tactics, I think that, whether one or two pawns are won or lost in the center, there's a chance we'll get a real attack against the kings this game.
Let's see, those two knights, the knight on c6 and the knight on f3, are like in opposition with each other, and like when one moves, then it kind of frees the other one up to move. So I hope Black made some calculations here and anticipated this move.
Yeah, there's a beautiful balance between the pieces in chess, right? Sometimes it's like, when people build some kind of structure, they could build it out of cards or out of stones or out of, I don't know, some people even do it out of chess pieces, right? Like they make like these weird balancings of queen and king and rooks and stuff.
Yeah.
And actually on the chessboard already, you've got that kind of balance going on.
I do that like a child does.
Nice.
What was I going to say? I mean, that's one of the reasons, like, this is very off topic, but like you really like 960 and I don't like 960.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of the balance and harmony that's like innate, and one of the things that I like about the game is lost.
Yeah, it doesn't have that built-in balance of the knights gripping opposite sides of the center,
right?
Balancing each other. The idea of like the bishops hitting the knights, right? When you've got a pair of knights like this, there are themes like bishop b4 and bishop g5 fighting for that pair of squares. And then there's also the pawn thrusts, right? b5, b4, or g4, g5 that you see like in a bunch of Sicilians, for example.
Uh-oh.
I did, yes. Tell us about the uh-oh, Ranga. What do you see?
Well, I see immediately that the knight can go to g6.
Oh, wow. Very tactical interpretation of the position, yeah.
Weak light squares. I mean, we're playing the 400 to 700 analysis here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
that, the knight coming and forking the two pieces is pretty good for white. It's going to get them a material advantage at the minimum, as long as nothing painful that Black can do in response.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll just say that I'd successfully put on my 400 rated hat, so I didn't see knight g6. And I do try to, as you know very well, but just for anyone in chat who's newer to the dojo, I do try to comment and review every game at approximately the level of the game, right? So I'm not going to mention like some new move that Vishy Anand played in the opening. When I'm analyzing a game between 400s, I'll say, good job that they brought out their pieces, right? Or, wow, they spotted the big fork. And so when I saw h6, I actually didn't notice knight g6. I was thinking h6, that means the JWMCC, I'm thinking, oh, they're really going to go for a kingside pawn storm. They're really going to go for an attack and rush the pawn. But before they could really get the pawn storm going, Jen Titles notes a mega fork, and some black pieces are going to fall.
I mean, there's ways that white could go wrong here if they're careless, right? Like, well, maybe not anymore. But one thing I noticed is that when you play a winning fork like this,
Mm-hmm.
and then your opponent doesn't respond to it, and they do like something else,
Uh-huh.
you still have that fork. So often you should just like address the new thing that they did,
Mm-hmm.
and then get your fork later. But sometimes you can go wrong if you just like immediately take your fork or something. I don't know.
So like for argument's sake, if black played queen b6 attacking the b pawn, sometimes you might say, well, the rooks can't get away from my knight, so I'll defend my pawn. before I take one of
Right.
the rooks.
Just simple, yeah, simple chess.
But chess is so complicated that all kinds of things can go wrong, right? Like you can rely on the fact that the rooks can't escape, you defend the other thing, and then somehow the rooks escape. Like one of them moves with a new threat, right? And then you're like, shoot, I should have taken
Right.
it while I had the chance. So it can really go all ways. But I had a blitz game like 2 days ago where I had a knight fork on 2 rooks, and then I just left it for 3 or 4 moves while like playing some positional moves in a battle for some
Yeah,
squares. So
it sounds good.
that does
How's,
happen.
how's your blitz class, David?
So. I mean, I'm enjoying my games. I'm maybe working on some of my openings a little bit, having a little bit of fun, I guess. But I'm not getting very close to 2,600 yet.
I see.
Let me see. Where am I? I don't even know. Let's see. I mean, I'm pretty close to like the maximum I've been, so I'm not like I didn't crash down, which is good. I'm 25.43.
Well, that's good.
I hit 25.50 for a moment one day, but yeah, I'm basically near my maximum ever.
You still playing 3-2 or are you playing 3-0?
Oh yeah, I'm playing 3-2. If I went back to 3-0, I would definitely crash and burn.
So, David, I noticed in this position that white's up material. They got an exchange and a pawn,
Yeah,
but they don't have any open files to use their rooks on.
yeah, maybe.
So, what are they going to do?
Ideally, they're gonna pick a pawn to trade somewhere on the board.
Hi, Oscar. I'm going to play today.
I know, Sweet Blues. I almost found somebody to catapult me up
Yeah, just find somebody who's
the Blitz
tilted.
rankings. I found somebody, and like I just barely outplayed them 3 games in a row. They were like very good, but it was and it was a close call. But even if it's close and it seems like the players are really close, if you lose 3 games in a row, that could tilt or upset somebody. And they were sending like the rematches really, really fast. I was like, oh, maybe they're getting a little upset.
Yeah.
And so it's possible that somebody who you would normally score, 5.5 out of 10 against, like on a certain day, you could score 9 or 10 if like they just sort of lose their mind.
Sure.
So I felt like they were very close to breaking in the 4th game. Like I just destroyed them in the opening, completely winning by move, I don't know, 12, 13. They just made like a heinous blunder where I was like, oh yeah, they've lost their mind. And then I just couldn't break through in an end game that was like, a couple pawns up for me for nothing. Let's say 2.5 pawns up for nothing. They had doubled isolated rook pawns, which are barely worth a pawn, right? And then I had 2 extra pawns in addition to that. So I was somewhere between 2 and 3 pawns ahead for nothing. And
That's tough.
I just couldn't win this end game. And eventually I even lost the end game. And then, they took heart and we had a pretty even match. So I'm still around where I was.
Okay.
That could have been the breakthrough. That could have been my elevator.
Yeah. Look, they did your plan here, David.
There it is. Going for a pawn trade. And the interesting thing is, you asked about it right here in this position, and I was considering the move b4, right, when you asked about the white rooks, which is the key to the position. I mean, your rook's only better than the knight if there's an open file, and even if it weren't a matter of having your rooks be better than your opponent's knights or whatever, like you've got 2 rooks and no open files, right? Like there comes a time where you should probably think about your rooks.
I'm surprised that they didn't open the file here with capturing.
But yeah, so first they played c4, which could be a good move to basically freeze the pawn on c5 so it can't avoid the trade that you offer in the next move. Then they offer the trade. Black plays e5, and here you thought, yeah, just go for it. And they put the rook on the file first. Interesting.
Because they've made by playing c4, they froze the pawn on c5 so that they can force this pawn trade, but, at the cost of making a weak square on d4.
Right.
So, the give and take of chess, right?
The give and take of chess, yeah. Whatever you do, it's going to have a negative side other than mate in 1. But like anything else you do, it'll do something good for you and it'll leave some other square weak or have some other drawback. So, Okay, so from White's perspective, though, they're basically doing the right idea, which is they're trying to open a file. I would say they even picked a good place on the board to open the file. There were many files they could have tried to open. They're opening a file right next to Black's king, so, like, I would say I extra approve. And then the question, I guess, is Black's perspective, right? If you were Black, what might you think of doing here, Ranga?
If I was Black,
Mm-hmm.
well, in general, well, there's like a few ways to answer, right? Like, one way is that Black is in a worse position,
Mm-hmm.
so they should try to stir up some chances.
Mm-hmm.
Another way to answer is like, how do I deal with this pawn tension? So maybe they wanted to capture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the other thing would be how to like make my pieces better, put them on better squares, how to get my knight onto d4, how to get my knight onto f4, somewhere good.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things I would think about.
Yeah,
So,
there's a huge question when you're worse. Huge attitude question. I think to some extent this attitude question can apply to any rating level. Like I don't think it necessarily depends on how well you calculate or things like that. The
uh-oh.
question is the question is do you try for counterplay or do you try to just be tough?
I think about this question regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I see the validity in both kind of viewpoints.
Yeah. So there's like one perspective where it's like, well, if I just sit around, I'm down so much that I will eventually lose. So I got to take a shot, right? Like just try something difficult or complicated or whatever. The opposite perspective is like you're down so much that if you go for something, you're just going to hasten your defeat because it's not going to work. Like you don't have the
Right.
power to attack your opponent. So just keep your stuff defended and let your opponent come up with an idea or a plan or some way to improve their position.
But something like trying to put the knight on d4 or f4,
Mm-hmm.
that like does both.
Yes,
It like hangs tough and it also creates chances.
for sure. So there's some basic ways you can improve your position, so to speak, which would line up with either of those general approaches, right? And to some extent, putting your pieces on their best and defended squares is consistent with either hanging tough or looking for counterplay. And in this position here, Renga for sure has got it right. If we could get this knight on f6 to either f4 or d4, that would generally improve Black's prospects quite a bit.
The players started playing too fast here, David. Last couple
Oh,
of
yeah.
moves.
Oh, yeah, I see
Last
like a
couple.
couple seconds on one or two of these moves.
Last couple of moves too fast because things got interesting with the tension and people
Mm-hmm.
were attacking stuff. Black was trying to hold on to all the pieces, not do any trades. It looked like they were going to do a try to hang tough situation.
Uh-huh.
But then they really quickly played this G6 move,
Yeah.
which I don't think did anything in the position.
Yeah, it's really mainly this one move that went pretty quickly. Maybe Black was feeling like there wasn't much to do anymore.
Yeah, but they got to be aware that B takes C5
Mm-hmm.
is kind of serious.
Yeah. Yeah, if I were playing this game, I have an inkling that as Black, I would have preferred to trade on b4 myself versus letting White trade on c5. But it's a tough call because also if I'm one of these positions where I'm losing and my opponent doesn't take on c5 once, which White passed up the first chance to do it, then sometimes I might be thinking, well, maybe they'll never take on c5. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure.
And maybe at
Yeah,
some
yeah,
point they'll
yeah.
play b5 for some reason, grabbing space. You never know like what mistakes your opponents are capable of. And
Do you
when
ever
you
wonder something in one of your games where like you hang like a pawn or a tactic, but then your opponent doesn't take it, and like your position's so bad that you don't have time to like fix that,
yeah,
so you kind of just make another move hoping that
yeah,
they're
you
not
just be
going
like,
to
well,
play.
I hope that that's off the table. Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely happens to me, right? And so if
Oh, yeah.
White doesn't take on c5, I might be wondering my only chance to not trade pawns might be to wait around and see if White at some point plays b5 or if they think like they got to keep the tension or something. You know, maybe there's something keeping them from taking. Whereas if I take, then like I know the pawns are getting traded. So I actually kind of like the suggestion of Oscar chess. It's a very, very plausible suggestion for how to play this as black psychologically, you could play this move Queen C6.
Uh-huh.
You see? And that could trick some people into playing B5. It's like encouraging to another player, right?
I have been disconnected once.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
But Oscar is very, very clever. Like sometimes if you leave your opponent some kind of reason, some kind of story, something tantalizing like a threat or something like that, then
Was this a position where you're pushing b5 closes the pawns?
exactly.
Yeah.
So you just kind of put your queen on c6 and see if maybe they're like, ooh, I'm winning a tempo, which is a big deal in the opening. And here, I guess it stems from the fact that a lot of people don't understand what winning a tempo means. Winning a tempo has to be doing something you want to do with a threat, not just doing anything that has a threat.
Yep. Interesting recapture.
So in the game, we get g6, pawn takes, knight retreats, a4. Here comes the next pawn. So they're leaving the tension again.
Move. That was a nice move.
Yeah. And then comes a5. Woo! Well, we get the pawn storm. We get the pawn storm and the mating attack.
On the other side of the board.
Delivering.
But it wasn't black doing it. Brothers Karamazov.
Brothers Karamazov. You have won a game, but you don't have opponent. That's because you killed your opponent, dude. What did you think would happen when you killed them? Maybe you should think twice before winning next time. Maybe
just go slower.
Maybe move
really
back and forth.
It.
Yeah. Be friendly with your opponents. They are precious and fragile. But seriously speaking, Karamazov, if you just wait around, you may get paired with another game. You might have to click a button saying that you want to play another game.
Ooh, interesting choice.
I'm not sure
here.
if the tournament freezes automatically. The black king starts to run, and white offers a queen trade.
Feels like white is going to get ahead in material here even further, but nothing that looks like a checkmate.
Yeah, queens coming off the board will mean less likely to be a checkmate, so we'll see what white's endgame skills are.
Right. Or conversion technique or something, because the longer the game goes, the higher chance that white drops a fork back or something.
Yeah. JWMCC has had a very, very good pace to the game in terms of time usage. Used about 3 minutes in the opening, 5 minutes in the middle game, 2.5 minutes here to play the end game. So pretty good basic way to divide up your time for anyone who's sort of new to thinking about how to use their time. That's a great place to start.
What was the breakdown? Can you say it again?
They did 3 minutes for the opening, 5 minutes for the middle game, and have 2.5 minutes left for the end game.
That's pretty good.
So it's pretty good.
I usually don't save enough for the end game.
Yeah. I think you being slightly higher rated, you would want to get your opening done in 2 minutes because you're a little more familiar with some opening moves. And then you would do something more like 2, 5, 3.5 based on the 5-second increment adding up. Like 2, 5, 3.5 would be like a very basic split of your time for anyone in like the 1600 to 2000 range. Ooh, white managed to harvest another pawn, and good technique so far, getting the rooks really going.
I mean, yeah, white is playing and not giving black any chances here, which I really like.
Yeah.
I remember hearing something like 20, 40, 40 in terms of percentages, like 20% in the opening, 40% in the middle game, 40% in the end game. Maybe this is like a Botvinnik recipe.
Yeah,
or something
maybe.
Like this.
That sounds like more like a 2000 plus kind of time frame, because I think it's implying that most of your games have fairly equal end games.
Right.
But if we're talking players like, let's say 400 to 700 here, for example, it's rare. It's rare-ish to have an equal endgame where you need tons of time. to play it well, right?
C4.
Normally one of the players will at least be up a piece in the end game, if not, a piece plus several pawns.
Right. I remember a long time ago, Dripman was on stream and you guys were talking about something about C4.
Mm-hmm.
And the comment was, the end games that I get are usually very lopsided because one player has like gone for an attack, maybe sacked some material.
Yeah.
So they don't ever play any proper end games. And that's kind of how I used to be too.
Yeah.
But now I play more of them.
Now you play more of them, yeah.
And I need more time because my end games are bad.
Sure. Yeah. So it depends on rating, and it also depends on like the type of player, right? So somebody who's playing the King's Gambit is going to get less end games than somebody playing the Queen's Gambit, etc. Right? So
Let's see the technique. Very clean game from
very
Gen
clean.
Titans.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. Did I turn off the stove? That's the question.
Important. One of the most important questions in terms of stove technique, folks, is do you turn it off when you're done?
And the answer was no.
No.
But we fought well.
Yeah.
Okay, will they go for the checkmate or the promotion and the ladder? Let's see. Ooh, 2 pawns. This is bordering on... what kind of word should we use? Sadism?
Pawns are better side by side. This is maybe a certain kind of chess aesthetic. Like, I love to keep my pawns next to each other. They can never get blockaded.
A BM. Bad manners. It took me a while to realize that BM in this context is bad manners. Because I had a different, acronym for BM.
Yeah, a different thing, yeah.
Which also kind of fits.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to bounce around like crazy, folks. We're going to swap up to our top section, and we'll revisit our under 1300 section later on and see some games in the 11 to 1200 range as well. But right now, we're going to jump to the 1700 plus arena and see what we might find there.
Who would you like to watch?
Let us... Well, maybe we could click on a few games and see what kind of positions they have. But my first thought would have been Trav Kuskin.
Trav Kuskin.
And the position looks plenty interesting to me.
Fancy Italian.
It's a fancy Italian. Let's recap the moves, folks, so we know what we're dealing with. F4. Opening the rook and maybe seizing something for white there. Oh, and if pawn takes F4, rook takes F4, G5. White can get out of the double attack with knight F5, hitting the queen. And the famous, recapture, saving the second piece.
Mm-hmm.
So nice moment to play F4, but black engages in tactics as well with knight E4. And white just calmly makes a trade there. Okay. And that gets us to the live position.
Okay.
So
white has this semi-open file. I feel like, and then they play queen c2 after 5 minutes. It's a pretty good think here.
Oh, that's epic for this rapid time format, a 5-minute think.
Yep.
Slaughter the King says rook takes f7 was interesting last move.
Rook takes f7 is interesting. I'm looking at trying to do evil things on the f6 square.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So also interesting was knight f6. Pawn takes f6, rook takes f6.
I feel like we don't quite have enough pieces involved. So I kind of like this queen c2 to bring it back around.
Mm-hmm.
But
The most simple and basic move in this position would have been to sacrifice the opponent's material instead of our own. So that would be bishop takes e6, bishop takes e6, queen takes b7, and, looking like the c5 pawn is dead as well.
would you do that?
In that position, it looks like white's preparing to be up, two pawns cleanly.
That move seems risky to me.
What's risky about it?
Just the fact we're giving them rook b8. They got to develop the bishop. We traded off our bishop. They got
Exactly.
the bishop. They get the b pawn. We have a sleeping rook on a1.
Yeah. So the crazy thing about all these options we've looked at so far, and the thing that to me makes them all a little distasteful, is like we're bringing out black's pieces. Like that rook takes f7 move that was interesting. It's similar, right? When we played rook f7, bishop e6, we developed the bishop from f7, right? So that line, folks, right? We take here, we're developing that piece, right? Then they develop the second rook, right? We're walking straight into full development for black as well. So somehow the forcing moves are bumping into improving black's development, even though they look like they might be breakthroughs. I think the worst thing in white's position is the rook on a1, so I wonder if there isn't some move like rook f3 or rook f2 that's better than everything else we've looked at.
Rook f3 I was looking at as well.
But I can partly see why white spent 5 minutes on this move, right? Because rook f7, bishop e6, knight f6, all three of those moves could be winning.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't go for anything there, though.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like our queen on b3 is very stereotyped into like 1/2 things it's doing on the diagonal to f7 and attacking b2. Like, I just don't feel like our queen is in a great spot. And then the sleeping rook on a1, it just makes me not feel like the position is ripe for something spectacular.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. But, bishop takes e6, for example, doesn't have to be spectacular. It's just we're going to win a pawn and we're going to get away with it.
Sure.
You know?
Channel your inner Korchnoi or something.
Yeah. My guess would be that rook f3 or rook a e1 would have been very good. Either of those two moves. That's sort of my instinct on the position. The riskiest thing about white's position is the e5 pawn.
Which position are you at right now? Because I've been kind of flipping around.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at, options on this point where Trafkowski decided to think for 5 minutes, right? I'm thinking about still what were the options there. I bet white could get away with bishop e6, queen b7. Like, I'm sure they could win the pawn, but it doesn't feel like it's the best thing they could do.
Yeah, I agree.
So the weakest thing in white's position is the pawn on e5. It also has some value to it, so it could be something that you actually want to protect. So you could get ready to protect it with rook a e1, or you could play a move like rook f3, and then we're considering positions that might look like queen h5, rook a f1, queen takes e5, rook takes f7.
Yeah.
Compared to other things we've looked at, instead of developing black's rook and bishop, we've developed our rook.
I like that.
So we haven't won any material. We haven't sacked any material. We're not making any clear threats yet. But it feels like this might put a lot of pressure on black, this version, because it's like all the white pieces versus not all the black pieces.
Yep.
So maybe it'd be something like that. But we can totally feel how complicated this position was to play, in the sense of you've got many plausible moves and you don't really have an easy way to know which ones you should really consider the most or whatever. So let's see how the game goes. We got queen c2 played. It looks like they're getting very low on time. Black played b6, spending some time on that. And white plays d4, opening a very clear threat. Knight f6. King has to move away. And now white doubles the rooks. I feel like if you play d4, don't you want to jam through d5 as well? So now
So
white's offering basically pawn sacks, right? Pawn takes d4.
king g8. Rook f2.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I wonder what that's about.
I mean, it could be putting the rook on a1 into the game, right?
Sure.
But why is our pawn hanging on d4 if this is what we wanted to do?
Right. You were looking at playing d4, d5?
I figured that was the point of d4 last move, is like we're slipping past the d4 square while they can't take us because we're threatening checkmate.
Mm-hmm.
And that the idea would be that when they move back, then we play d5, and we're bringing, major pawn majority action in the center.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still thinking about potential knockouts because, like, all of a sudden, the king feels very, very suspicious for black.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still not using really much more of our pieces than we were using previously.
Yeah, we still have, slightly better in terms of pieces because black's bishop is on c8, but unless we add the rook on a1, we're not, like, way ahead.
Which must be like rook f2, rook f1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's going to happen here? Double the rooks. Rook a f1.
Mm-hmm. And black's taken on d4, and white just brought the next rook, left the pawn hanging. Of course, it was too late to recapture that pawn. Black has knight takes d4. Yeah, I'm not clear what white's threatening with this move order. So
I'm not sure what they're threatening either. And now b takes c3 is going to deprive the d4 square.
Mm-hmm. White has to start being careful about the pieces on the fourth rank. Yeah, white takes back, b takes, like you thought, keeping black's knight away. But let's say black plays bishop b7. You have to be careful with the pieces dangling on the fourth rank.
Lasse. Yeah, the 13 to 1700 got canceled.
Yeah, so the 1500s had no home. They have to try either the top section or the bottom section.
I'm going to come feast on your rating.
My problem with this position is it seems like white's set up to play knight f6, and I have not been able to make knight f6 work at any point yet.
Yeah, me neither. And we don't have knight f6, no knight d6. I don't really see exactly what we're doing. Because, like, we've given a pawn, so presumably we have some, like, energy in the position. But I'm not seeing said energy. And if that's the case, then are we just down a pawn for nothing?
Right. I mean, we do have a little development lead, right? Black's got bishop c8 and rook a8 that are not participating well, plus rook f8 would be more passive than white's rooks. So there's definitely some advantage in terms of where the pieces stand, but how do we do anything concrete with it? Let's see. Okay, here's one idea. If black plays bishop b7,
knight g3.
Maybe white could play rook takes f7.
Oh, what? Wait. This looks suspicious to me.
Yeah. It is a little
This looks suspicious.
In the game, bishop a6 just got played. Whoa.
Yeah, this looks suspicious, no?
I mean, I think there's a decent chance it wins back the pawn that white is behind, but I don't think it's super good for white. G2, unfortunately, I don't know how to play guitar, and
time is low.
And I sing a lot, but very, very badly. So.
I was thinking that if the bishop moves, One thing white could do is it could play knight g3 to f5, and that's like a pretty annoying square for the knight to be on.
Oh yeah, that might do some things.
But still, okay, here's knight g3. But I don't know. I also feel like black can just hold tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like knight on e6 blocks the e pawn, defends g7, so knight f5 doesn't target too much.
I mean, white's going for it though because we're giving the a4 pawn again,
Mm-hmm.
so they have to be kind of trying to do something.
Yeah. Gosh, it's weird. Normally, with two extra rooks on the king side, so to speak, right? You'd at least be able to generate a threat. Like, even if it doesn't break through, even if your opponent can defend, like, we should at least see a threatening move.
I mean, the knight on e6 is pretty good.
Um, okay, maybe we could lift a rook and somehow make a threat against h6.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we might lift two rooks to the third rank. One on g3, one on h3. That should eventually make a threat.
Welcome in, host of Mahogi.
Oh yeah, host of Mahogi.
David, I still remember when you were on stream talking about host of Mahogi's game.
Uh-huh.
Some game in like the fantasy.
Yeah.
It's like one of the funniest things.
Okay.
Because you were like, oh yeah, and I saw your position against somebody and it was so good. It was like really good. I looked over and then you made 5 moves in a row that I just absolutely hated.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like really funny to me.
I think it was against a GM.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's the
Okay,
rook lift.
they're making the moves.
We're getting some action here. Rook lift. I thought black, by the way, would put the rook on the open D file instead of the E
Mm-hmm.
file. So let's see. We get rook G3. H6 pawn looks like it might die right
Yes.
here. Seconds
Yeah.
left for black. Uh-oh.
Do not hang your queen. Wait!
They specifically did not listen to that.
Wait a sec, guys. Wait a sec. This is good.
Yeah.
So it's an exchange now. Charlie losing his mind. He's gonna quickly DM me. Is this 2100 level chess?
Uh-huh.
There it is.
There it is.
I love Charlie.
This position is very tricky to play, actually, and they each have seconds because the position is still blockaded. And
Yeah.
the queen is only better if she can make sort of threats on a big open board.
Yeah, G4, G5, maybe move the king. This is like the really forceful approach by white, which is probably pretty good when your opponent has 2 seconds.
Sometimes it's even better to make no threat and they just flag because they don't know what you're doing. Yeah, White's queen is trapped. Something.
Yeah, entomb the queen. This is good. This is like nice and dramatic.
Yeah.
Rook F2, Queen F5.
Yeah, I guess trying to extricate the queen here. Nice move here with the rook, threatening rook G3.
Ooh.
Yeah, White did have the winning move in response to rook takes F7. But King G2 was pretty practical.
White won on time.
White wins on time.
Congrats to Trav Kuskin. I hope he loses his smug 2162 remark. That was good. I would like it if we could try to catch one at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like following games from the beginning, ideally.
Sounds good.
Something
Let's
early.
just talk for 1 second about what I think like decided this game, because it's right around here with rook f3. Up to this point, chat, you'll notice that neither Rengon nor I had seen any particular prospects for white. We were feeling like white's down a pawn. They have to prove it. We don't see any particular way to prove it. Right? And suddenly,
So
within 2 moves, white was in a very good position with, queen against rook and knight.
So rook f3 is where you're looking right now?
Yeah. And the main thing I would say is it seems like black imagined or assumed that there was some kind of threat on g7. They created the notion of this threat.
Hmm.
And then they play g6 themselves when the knight on e6 is actually holding that down at the moment. And they kind of create their own downfall where after rook g3, the queen, if she retreats to like d8, there's going to be knight h6 and a very strong attack. Quite
Yeah.
quite scary, I
Their
think,
own
to give that
weakness.
pawn. But they kind of gave that to white. G6 is what weakened h6. Um, and if black didn't play g6, it's not even clear what white would have done or threatened or whatever.
Hmm.
Um,
And like you said, if they had played rook to d8,
yeah,
then rook f3, rook d2,
yeah,
and we're playing as well.
yeah. Very, very active, right? We make some of our own threats for black. So I think a lot of times, like if you get convinced that you're trying to defend, you start sometimes creating the attack for your opponent in a sense, right? Like you don't create any counter threats if you play too passively. So there's a lot of time for white. They don't need to find a breakthrough immediately. You give them a lot of time when you play passive moves. And number two, sometimes you're so worried about something that you make a move that creates a weakness when you didn't yet really have a clear weakness. And rook d8, d2 is more like how GMs play these kind of positions, right? Where they see like there's something possible for the opponent, but it's not concrete yet, and they just go active and counterattack things, and you never really get around to making a threat. So I think this is really like the crux of how this game turned. I really didn't see where white's attack was coming from, and then black plays one move passive rook e8 instead of rook d8, and then create your own weakness with g6. And yeah, suddenly white's attack is so scary that it was very reasonable to sack the queen at this point. But
Yeah, I mean the options, queen d8 looks pretty bad, but
all right, so we're gonna go to our next section here, under 1300 group, and we're gonna try and catch a game early in its creation.
towards the beginning.
Which would be easier if it still worked to mouse over a game and see the position, On the
That would be
old
nice.
chess.com live chess, you could mouse over one of these games and it would show you what position they have.
Not this one.
No. That one got scrapped some years ago. I'm still, I guess, what young people would call salty about it. Because it was so good before. Why should it be worse like 6 years later? All right, so the only one I see in this section that's kind of still in the opening is Middleton against Fifalian.
Yeah, I saw that too. This position. Okay. Chesscom interface is bloated and needs work overall. Okay, please. Um, any complaints send to Dritman,
Dritman, yeah. He's
and he will
responsible.
not deal with them.
He's responsible for viewer feel.
Yep. Last I knew, he still worked for them.
Was that?
Last I knew, he still worked for them.
Oh yeah, he does. He does. I'm
So
gonna
we
see the
checking out this.
I'm gonna see the opening real quick for folks. I'm just gonna play through it
Yeah,
so
yeah.
everyone knows what opening it was. This quick threat on c2 gets us this funny pairing of knights on b4 and a3. And the rest of the pieces come out normally.
I know someone who plays similar to this as black.
Aye, white's knight tried to get out to b1, then realized black could still play knight c2 and went back to a3. Ooh, and now black's looking much more active, starting to make some threats. Oh, Viral Stigma wants to know if you work at chess.com.
I do not work at chess.com.
No.
There's a guy that used to be a regular here in the Twitch chat and stuff that works for them.
Yeah.
But I think he's no longer so much on Twitch. Busy with other
I
things.
still see him regularly.
Yeah. I see him every now and then for sure.
Yeah.
That's good.
He also has a baby now.
Exactly.
So
That's kind of...
I think his free time comes in like 2 to 5 minute bursts now instead of 2 to 5 hour bursts. So that,
Yeah, he'll turn into one of those guys that just plays Bullet on his phone when he's got 2 minutes.
oh, he has become that, yes. Yeah.
Oh, back to A3. The knight goes back to A3.
Yeah.
Where are you at in the game? Are you at the live position?
I've caught up with the live position, yeah.
Okay.
He is a super
Lots
great
of
guy.
knights.
He is a super great guy. I see him on Twitch once a week or
That's
so
good.
still. We'll be doing coverage on something. He'll pop in, yeah.
Ooh,
Say
I
hi.
thought that maybe Black was going to try to harvest a pawn here, David.
Yeah, Black has the option to trade off everything on C2 here, folks, right? All the pieces, and then grab a free pawn. And, Rangel would grab that pawn. I would
I don't
grab
know if
that
I would.
pawn. Korchnoi would grab that pawn.
I'm a pretty big like bishop pair junkie as well.
Okay.
So I'd probably grab that pawn.
Yeah, I mean, what are better pieces for if not to eventually win your opponent's pawns with them? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not just painting a picture. At some point, you also want to win the game.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For that, blood must be spilled. So sometimes, you eventually have to trade your pretty pieces to take your opponent's stuff. Okay, but we get c6. And, I don't really see how white can defend the d4 pawn, so I imagine black will have the same option next move of trading everything off and winning the pawn on d4. The pawn on d4 looks pretty dead to me overall, Ranga. No pawn that can defend it at c3 or e3. There's this pressure from the semi-open file.
This might force it. Knight c2, bishop c2, like kind of forces Black to win the material.
Mm-hmm. So now we see d4 and b2 hanging at the same time. So again, it feels to me like one of them will meet its doom at some point. Interesting. I felt like Middleton struggled a bit with Black's opening, like trying to figure out how to handle the knight on b4, bishop on f5, like the knight back and forth. But then when I look at the clocks, I see that actually Fythalian, who normally at this level you would think that Black would be more of an expert on their Scandinavian than White would be on how to handle it. It looks like Fythalian is the one who's really used a lot of time here, and it's going to be tough to play a full game at a good level if you're in this kind of time trouble.
Yeah, and it could get complicated if he plays queen b2.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's the type of pawn I don't really want to take, David.
Okay.
I could take it and then play queen c2 or something, but and there's no rook b1, so maybe we're going to be okay here, but
yeah, no rook b1, very important, right? In general, this like queen b2 is a move that a lot of people have traumas around because of seeing games where Black plays queen b6, queen b2 around move 2, 3, or 4, right? And then they get destroyed because they didn't bring out their pieces. So basically, there are whole things about don't chase the knight pawn with your queen. It's on the list of like opening principles that are not actually opening principles that sometimes people say as if they were opening principles. But here Black has every single piece out. So it's a totally different scenario than opening pawn grabbing. At this point, there's nothing better to do than to take a free pawn. And Black is again declining to take it. So I think Fythalian is trying too hard to be virtuous, Rangel. I assume that they can calculate that queen takes b2 is possible. I think they know that the pawn could be captured.
Yeah.
But they're like trying to be virtuous, right? Trying not to be greedy, a pawn grubber, a pawn snatcher, all the nasty things people say about you when you take their pawns.
I mean, also like a have their cake and eat it too type of mentality,
Mm-hmm.
where they're going to try to win the pawns and retain the bishop pair and have a
Mm.
pass pawn and,
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
The everything. I
Well,
want
this
it
also
all.
looks pretty strong, right? So did they get paid off for their play?
So nothing they did at any point endangered their advantage. That's one of the nice things, right? Like they didn't they never traded off an advantageous piece nor allowed a move for white to really really get out of everything. Um
This is some high level play, David, in this in this group here.
yeah. So in fact, they not only get the pawn on b2 eventually, but they trap white's rook. And then they weren't too proud about the bishop pair in the end. They were willing to take white's pieces. So actually, Fythalian used all their time and won the game and didn't need a bunch of time left for the endgame because it's going to be one of those rook up endgames where it barely counts as an endgame, right?
Very clean.
Yeah. Actually, it was a very, very, very powerful looking game from black. We don't really see any chinks for white, even though I would have just grabbed the pawn on b2 long ago, probably.
You would have grabbed the pawn on
Interesting.
d4.
Maybe I should have had more restraint. I would have grabbed the pawn on d4, then 2 moves later, I would have grabbed the pawn on b2, but Pythalian got all of that anyway.
Maybe that's just you in your older age. You know,
Mm-hmm.
let's go back to like, 15, 20 years ago. You would have tried to like maximize.
I'm definitely a maximalist. Let's see if there was any flaws with anything black did. c6 just waiting. Do I have any way to take advantage of that and not lose my d4 pawn? Not really. And now not queen b2. Do I have anything I can do here?
Yeah, I think consistency is a big deal, Charlie. Like not blundering, making sure that your floor is good. Hard to say.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't see any way out for white at any point in this sequence from Pythalian.
Yeah, black just killing it.
That's crazy.
C5, queen b3, a try.
Yeah, it's one of the moves I thought about. Queen b3. There's basically two ideas I thought of for white. One is bishop d3, trying to break up the bishop pair.
Mm-hmm.
And also black's bishop on f5 is just simply superior to the one on e2, right? Because it's taking away squares like c2 and b1 from my pieces, and the bishop on e2 is doing nothing. And then the other was queen b3. Now that black doesn't have bishop d4 defending a7, right? There's some hope in queen b3. Idea queen takes, pawn takes, and then if you take on d4, taking on a7. But
Sure.
I basically thought that cd4, rook a7, d3, bishop d1, that looked really, really sad.
Yeah, strong pawn.
I mean, maybe it's the best practical chance, but I feel like if black leaves the pawn on d3, the bishop can't move, the rook can't move. I wouldn't say that there's any hope, really. I wouldn't say that black has messed up their advantage. So that was one line I looked at, and then the other idea I'd looked at was bishop d3. The idea being to have bishop takes, queen takes, c takes d4, and then let's say b3. And I blockade black's extra pawn for the moment, and I break up the bishop pair, and do I make it any harder for black? But
Maybe you make it harder.
maybe we make it a little bit harder. But there are multiple options that look plausible for
Eventually,
black.
e5, e4.
Right.